Hello, I'm Holly, and today I'm going to be giving you some summer book recommendations. I'm pretty sure that I've done a winter recommendations. Have I done an autumn recommendation? Spring? I'm not sure, but the ones that I have done I'll link in the description if you're interested. But for summer, I'm looking for those kind of light, fun reads. A lot of them are actually set in summer, so in my head they're just like synonymous with summer. But in the first half of my video, I'm actually going to be focusing on books written by Black authors. With everything going on in the world, I think a lot of people actually sat back and reevaluated what you're doing. Are you reading diversely? Are you trying to educate yourself about the problems that are facing these communities? So I know that a lot of people are looking for recommendations for books written by Black authors. I've been doing some research and I'm not sure when this video is going out, but in July I'm going to try and focus on reading books by Black authors because I know that I need to diversify my reading more. So these books that I'm going to start with aren't necessarily that summer related, but I think you should be reading them, especially this summer and every month, every season going forward. I'm actively going to be trying to read more diversely and I recommend that you do too. So yes, let's get into the recommendations. So the first book that I'm going to recommend is very popular and I know that a lot of people have read this book, but I still think it's important to talk about it and recommend it, and that is The Hate U Give by Angie Thomas. This follows a girl called Star who's kind of split between these two worlds, the predominantly poor Black neighbourhood where she lives and the predominantly white rich school that she attends. At the beginning of this book, she witnesses her childhood friend get shot and killed by the police when he was unarmed, and this kind of starts a movement, and it's very much to do with the Black Lives Matter movement. And I know that a lot of people have read this, a lot of people have loved it, but I just think it's so important, and if you have never read this, if you never got around to it, now is the time. And then if maybe you've read The Hate U Give, I'd also recommend On the Come Up by Angie Thomas. This is unrelated to The Hate U Give. I think they might be set in like the same neighbourhood, but as a whole they're standalones. And this follows a girl called Bree who wants to be a rapper. Her family is very poor and really for her, making it as a rapper is just, there's no other option. I believe that maybe there's a rap that she does that kind of goes viral, but it makes her look bad and it kind of perpetuates these stereotypes which she didn't want to fall into. So like The Hate U Give, I really enjoyed this, and I think Angie Thomas has an amazing way of creating these characters and these stories. They're so compelling, you're really rooting for these characters. So if you've read The Hate U Give and you haven't read this, I would highly recommend this. Then we have a couple of fantasies. The first one I have is The 100,000 Kingdoms by N.K. Jemisin. This is the only book that I've read by N.K. Jemisin, but that is something that I want to remedy in the coming months. This follows this woman called Yarne Dar, I think that's how you pronounce it, I'm sorry if I got that wrong, but her mother has recently died in mysterious circumstances and she is summoned to court, and her grandfather, who is kind of the king, the ruler of these lands, tells her that she is one of 3 potential heirs. Her family, her grandfather's family, they actually have the gods as these kind of like slaves. It's like they have them on a leash and the gods are forced to do whatever this family wants them to do. So there's gods, there's like intrigue, political intrigue. She's trying to work out what happened to her mother. Was her mother murdered? Is she prepared to potentially take the throne? It's a brilliant story. I really enjoyed this. I think I rated it 4 stars, but I'm very excited to continue with this series. And then another fantasy by a Black author that I'd highly recommend, that I know a lot of people absolutely love, is Children of Blood and Bone by Tomi Adeyemi. I know this was really popular on BookTube a couple of years ago and I picked it up then. I absolutely loved it. I've actually met Tomi Adeyemi and she was just brilliant, and I think she talked for like 2 hours, but it was just really enlightening and I loved hearing her speak. This is an African-inspired fantasy, and in this world all the magic users have been slaughtered and their kids have this like white hair that distinguishes them, but they don't have any magic. And it follows a girl called Zeely. She ends up getting the chance to kind of bring magic back, and there's a runaway princess, there's a prince who's on the hunt for them, who wants to stop them. And I really, really love this book. I still haven't read the sequel, but I'm very excited to get to that soon, hopefully in July. It's just a brilliant story. If you love young adult fantasy, there's nothing in here that I think you wouldn't love. It has all those elements, the great characters, the great world, the great magic system. I think it's quite Avatar inspired. I never watched Avatar, but that kind of elemental magic, is that right? That's present in this. So there's people who can like have like water powers, fire powers, earth. Zeely's powers are kind of to do with life and death. It's just really great, and if you haven't got to this, I would highly recommend it. Another book I really enjoyed was The Ballad of Black Tom by Victor Laval, and this is kind of a horror novella that is kind of a retelling of a H.P. Lovecraft story, I believe. I've never read like the source material, but it's following this man called Black Tom, and Victor Laval wanted to kind of give this character a voice, his own story. I can't really remember the plot that well, but I feel like there was some kind of like creature or some kind of science thing. I'm not sure, but I really remember enjoying it when I read it, so I would highly recommend that too. So those are just a few recommendations from Black authors that I've read that I really enjoyed, and you can read these anytime, but I just think it's so important, especially this summer, to actually, if you haven't been reading diversely, to actively start reading diversely. Then let's get into some other recommendations. So the next recommendation I have is This Time Will Be Different by Misa Segura, and this is about a girl who works in, I think it's her aunt's florist shop. It's kind of like a family florist shop, and that's why it really gave me summer vibes. Just like, look at this cover. Look at how bright and vibrant and flowery it is. It's just perfectly summery, in my opinion. And this follows a girl, she's working in her aunt's florist shop, and then her mum announces that they're going to sell this shop. And what makes it worse is that she's intending to sell it to the family that kind of swindled her family during the Second World War. And this is what this story is really talking about. It's looking at Japanese internment, it's looking at the place of Japanese Americans in American society. And CJ, the main character, is kind of like, no, I don't accept this. I need to step up, we need to stop this, and we need to save the shop. And that's kind of what the story is about. Even though this does tackle some really heavy topics, some really important topics, it does it in a very light way. I don't think I absolutely loved this. I think I might have only given it maybe 3 stars, but I don't really read that much contemporary, so I think if you are a contemporary reader, you would absolutely love this. So I would highly recommend this. Also, just look at this stunning cover. It's just so beautiful. If you're looking for a classic and you somehow have never got around to this, I would also recommend The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald. So this is a very short classic. I'm sure most people know what this is about. This is set in 1920s New York, and it follows Jay Gatsby, who holds these extravagant parties to kind of impress this girl. It is set in the summer. I think it just has that summer vibe. I'm pretty sure that I read it during the summer, maybe not last year, maybe the year before, or sometime like that. If you're looking for a classic, it's not very intimidating, it's very short, very easy to read. It is a bit tragic, so be aware of that, but yeah, I would highly recommend this. And then another book or series that I think is perfect for summer is the Morganville Vampire series by Rachel Kane. This is a 15-book series following this girl called Claire, who's kind of a genius. So she's allowed to attend university early. I think she's maybe 16, and she ends up attending this university in Morganville, Texas, which turns out is a town run by vampires. Claire ends up being bullied in kind of the dorms, so she ends up going to live in this house called the Glass House. I read this series throughout my teenage years and I just loved it so much. I know maybe they don't hold up, they're kind of a bit trashy. Don't expect some like masterpiece of literature, because this is not what these books are offering. But as I've said, these are set in Texas and the heat is ever present. It's very, very hot, and yeah, it just makes me think of summer. Even though I know that it's set not just in summer, obviously she's attending a university, so that must start in like autumn, but the heat is just there. And heat and hotness and sun just equals summer in my head. So if you haven't read these, if you're just looking for something light, something fun, I'd highly recommend them. And then the final recommendation that I have for you is Other Words for Smoke by Sarah Maria Griffin. So this does kind of have maybe autumnal vibes because it's quite spooky, but it is set in summer. It follows these two siblings who go to some relative's house. I can't remember exactly if she's like an aunt or like something like that. And the house is pretty spooky. There's this kind of presence in the wallpaper called Sweet James. There's a cat that can talk. There might be some kind of magic, some witchy vibes if you're looking for that. And it is just really wild. There's kind of interdimensional pockets and magic, and it's just a wild ride. I loved the writing, and actually one of the perspectives in here is written in second person, I believe, so it's as if you're the character and it's like you did this, you did that, and I just thought that was really unique and I really loved what that added to the story. I think it gave it a whole nother element. So yeah, I would highly recommend this. I don't think many people talk about it, but I absolutely loved it when I read it. And if you're looking for those kind of spooky vibes this summer, I think you should definitely pick this up. So those were some summer recommendations. Obviously you can read these books whenever you want, not necessarily in summer, but some of them I thought just matched really well to this season. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching, and to everyone out there, stay curious. Bye!